Alright, here's the first thing you need in your notes. This is all about the interior angles of a triangle. The interior angles of a triangle will always add to give you 180 degrees. So there's one way to find that missing angle. I actually prefer another way, so I'm going to write it here. Or you can just do 180 minus an angle minus the other angle. You'll be given two angles. You'll be trying to find a third. So you could just start with 180, take away what you know. Whatever you get will be your answer. I think that's easier. I feel like it saves me a step. This is really, really, really easy if you have a calculator. So if you don't, I would suggest you go grab one. Here are the first three examples for the day, so go ahead and draw those triangles. Now, there's really three ways you could do this. You could write an equation. Students don't typically prefer that method when it's not required of them. The other one is to add these two numbers together, 180 minus whatever you get, or the way I prefer to just grab my calculator, type 180, type minus 25, type minus 15, then hit enter. Anyone have it? Yep, 140. Good. Questions on that one? Alright, same thing to start number 2. We're going to do 180, subtract 61, subtract 59. Anyone know? Alright, the rest of you have calculators. Anyone? 60 degrees. Thank you. Alright, how will I set up number 3? Good. Anybody have this one? 90 degrees. Good. What are your questions on this? The key here is to remember that all three angles, when you add them together, should give you 180 degrees. So if you're only missing one of them, you could do 180 minus the two that you know. That'll give you the value of the one that you don't know. Questions? right. Here's the next three. Take a second and write these down. Now, how are these three different than the last three? Anyone notice? Yeah, they all have this little box, which we know is a right angle, which we know is 90 degrees. You do it the same way. Start with 180. What are the two things I need to subtract from 180 in number 4? Subtract 17. What else? What's this guy? 90. Good. Anybody have it? 73. 73. Good. All right. Same thing on number 5. I do 180 minus 65, bless you, minus, great. What does that give me? 25, good. And the last one on this slide, 180 minus 45 minus 90 equals 45. Wonderful. Again, the key here is to remember that all of them added together give you 180 degrees. So if you know 2 and you're missing 1, you just subtract the ones you know from 180. That'll give you what you don't know. Questions on this? Alright, here's the next thing we are talking about today. I want you to write this all down. So previously we were talking about the interior angles. So those are the 3 angles inside of a triangle. Now we're going to talk about, well, what would happen if you extended one of the sides of your triangle and you made an angle on the outside. So if you're looking for that angle on the outside, you just add 2 of the inside angles. It has to be the 2 across from the exterior angle. I'll show you exactly what I mean in a second. Sometimes it's given the other way, though. You'll have the exterior angle and one of the inside angles, and you are trying to find that missing inside angle. The easiest way to do that is to set up an equation and solve. So kind of the easiest way to sum this all up is you can have an interior angle plus an interior angle as long as they're the right interior angles, and that will equal that exterior angle. So interior plus interior equals exterior. So I want you to just visualize a triangle for a second. And I'm going to extend one of the sides. So I extended this bottom side. Now I have this extra angle out here. Alright, instead of giving you degree measures, I'm just going to call this one angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. If I took the measure of angle 1 and I added it to the measure of angle 2 and I added it to the measure of angle 3, what should I get? What's the sum of all the interior angles of a triangle? First 6 examples from today. What do we always start with for the first 6 examples? 180. So if you add all those angles on the inside, you should get 180. Everybody agree? Alright, look at 3 and 4 real quick. That's a linear pair, right? So when I add the measure of angle 3 and the measure of angle 4, what should I get? 180, good. Now, do you see that since they both equal 180, I can say that 1 plus 2 plus 3 should be the same thing as 3 plus 4. Everyone agree? Since they both equaled 180. Well, if you subtract the measure of angle 3 from both sides, you are left with the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 4. Everybody see that? That's exactly what this theorem is telling us, that the 2 across from the exterior angle, so you can't use angle 3 at all. Angle 3 is out. But if you're looking for the measure of angle 4, you could use these 2 added together. It'll be the same thing. And the reason is 1, 2, and 3 added together give you 180. 3 and 4 added together to give you 180. So it's sort of like, since they're both supplementary with angle 3, they're congruent to each other. We learned that previously. So kind of interesting, but it's a nice little trick that really helps you find those exterior angles quickly. Any questions? Alright, here are the exterior angle examples. So remember, if you keep in mind that the 2 interior angles add together to give you the same measure as the exterior angle, that will help you a lot in these. Now, I noticed on your last quiz, when we talk about like the measure of angle 1, that confused a lot of people. So instead of writing like measure of angle 1, let's just call it x. So when I talk about the measure of angle 1, I'm just going to call it x for this example. And that'll just help us clear up any confusion with our notation when we're solving these equations. I think 7's actually the hardest one on here, so I'm going to skip it for right now. I'm going to do 8 first. What do I know about these 2 angles over here? When you add them together, it gives you the same thing as what? We learned it on the last slide. We wrote down the interior angles added together gives you the measure of, not 180. Well, this one will give you 120, but it gives you the measure of which angle? Look at what you just wrote. You literally just wrote interior plus interior equals exterior. So if I'm looking for the exterior angle, angle 1, I have to add together the 2 interior angles, all right? And I said I was going to call this X for right now just to clear up any confusion on notation. So if I add these two together, they should give me the same thing as this measure. What is 60 plus 60? 120. So the measure of angle 1, or in this case we're just calling it X, is 120 degrees. Alright, what about number 9? I'm still looking for the measure of angle 1. How am I going to find it? Very good. 20 plus 90 should give you the X value, which we're calling angle 1. Good. So what is the X value here? 110 degrees. Good. Now, I said 7 was the trickiest one. Let's go back to it. What two things should I add together now? Yeah, angle 1, which we're calling X, and 112. And what should that give me? 130, right? 131? The measure of the exterior angle. Alright, how do I find X in this case? Yeah, subtract 112. Good. So X equals 19. Good. So the key here is to remember that the two interior angles, when you add them together, gives you the same thing as the exterior angle. So whether you're looking for the interior angle or the exterior angle, you should always start with that. Interior plus interior equals exterior. Interior plus interior equals exterior. Interior plus interior equals exterior. And then solve accordingly. Any questions? Alright, last two examples of the day. I'll give you a second to get these down. Now, these go back to the ones we were doing at the very beginning. What is the sum of the interior angles of a triangle? 180. So, we're going to set these up in a very similar way. We're going to add all the angles. So, I don't know the first one. I don't know the second one. I do know the third one. And that's going to equal 180 degrees. Now we just solve for the variable. So how would I start this? We'll subtract 32 in the next step. First, let's combine like terms. Yeah, what's 1y plus 1y? 2y plus 32 equals 180. Then what? Good. Subtract 32 from both sides. So right now I have 2y equals 148. Yep. Then what? Divide both sides by 2. And what do you get for y? 74? I agree. Good. Questions on that one? Alright, how will I start number 11? Anyone? Y plus 5. So we have this angle covered. Plus 125. You're missing somebody. You have this guy, you have this guy.
Y.
Plus the other y. Good. You can't forget that last y. That's going to equal 180 degrees. Good. Now we have two sets of like terms on the left side, y and y. What does that give me?
2y.
And then I have 5 and 125.
So 130.
So 130, good, equals 180. Do not forget to combine your like terms before you do any sort of inverse operation solving stuff. Then what?
And subtract 130.
Good. So 2y equals 50, then what? Good, so y is going to equal 25. Great. What are your questions on today's lesson? All the angles of the triangle equal what when you add them together? 1/8. What? When you add them all together, what do you get? No matter what triangle you're looking at, all three angles added together give you what? 180. Good. If you can remember that, you can do this whole lesson. No problem. Any questions?